On February 12, 2008, the Iranian embassy in Damascus held a banquet celebrating the 29th anniversary of the Islamic Revolution. Imad Mornia attended the event, together with other distinguished guests. A high-ranking Hezbollah member, his hands were stained with the blood of dozens of Americans, Israelis, and Europeans, and was high on President Bush's list of the 25 most dangerous terrorists in the world, with an unprecedented reward of $5 million offered for his arrest. The banquet was very successful. Immediately after the official party, a blast was heard in the center of the Syrian capital. Imad Mornia's Jeep was blown up, along with its owner. Is it at all possible to gain a victory in the battle of civilizations when no political system can guarantee freedom for citizens of Muslim countries and peace for their neighbors? Where politics are useless, the economy takes the stage. When we talk about Islamic states, which have a unique culture and roots, you cannot use the same frames of reference for all countries. There was an attempt to quicken the liberalization of Algeria, which merely ended up with the election of Al-Qaeda. Successful democratization in Palestine has brought Hamas to power. Therefore, the process should be much more controlled, and in any case, should cause the democratization of the marketplace, because that's what forms the middle class, the class that might aid in furthering a future liberalization. The Muslim world currently renounces the laws of economics. The same example in the Palestinian Authority proves that the market laws in Middle Eastern reality bring either enormous corruption or unbearable poverty. Any financial help simply sinks in the sand. And it's a well-known fact that in this region, there is plenty of sand. What can you say regarding 70 million illiterates, most of whom are youngsters? They are unemployed youth. While one realizes that he is illiterate and unemployed, what else has he left? We witness a dreadful devaluation and decay of knowledge among the youth. Take, for example, the show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? It clearly demonstrates the decline of values and knowledge. The host is sitting in front of the genius guest, who had brought to the show his wife and all his tribe, and asks him, "What is the capital of Egypt? Cairo, Myro, Pharaoh, or Macaro?" And the genius guest is scratching his head and says, "Please, take away half of the choices." The host takes off 2 answers and leaves Cairo and Myro. Then the guest calls his telephone friend, and the whole neighborhood is helping with the game. Even the enormously rich states of the Persian Gulf are waning in terms of economy. Their sole source of income is oil, and the super profits are invested in amazing buildings and places of entertainment. The local sheiks prefer not to think what will happen to their states once the oil runs out, or when the world finds an alternative source of energy. Aren't you ashamed that among 500 leading universities of the world, none are Arabic? Among 500 leading universities, none are an Arabic university or college. Those are not universities. Upon my friend Faisal, those are cages for training, where you just teach the people a few slogans and they applaud. That's all. Is there a solution? Over the last decades, the West has alternately tried to use one method or another of battling Islamic extremism. Financial and political support of the friendly dictators and tyrants. Forced crossovers to general elections where all the candidates are terrorists. One remedy replaces the other. The outcome is the same. Perhaps it would be better to try all at once.
If you want to promote, to support democracy, you have to be very consistent in your policy. You cannot do it with one military operation. You cannot do it chick-chack, as we say it in Hebrew. There must be consistent policy. The moment it begins, the results are quick. The moment President Bush started insisting on linking question of human rights with their relations with Egypt and Lebanon and Syria, the results were fantastic. Syria left Lebanon. 1 million people went on massive demonstration in Lebanon demanding liberation from Syria. I spoke with the organizers of these demonstrations. They all say they could never encourage 1 million Lebanese to go on this demonstration without such a clear message and such clear support of democracy by the United States of America. 4,000 judges in Egypt wrote a letter to Mubarak demanding the changing of the system of the governance. 4,000 judges in totalitarian regime of Egypt could never sign such a letter if President Bush didn't start his policy of encouraging democracy and if he didn't succeed to release some of the most famous dissidents from Egyptian prisons. Unfortunately, this policy was not consistent. It continued for some months, and then under the pressures, because of the desire to find quick way to stability, and because President Bush was so lonely in this policy of promoting democracy, it was stopped. At the moment, it is not consistent policy. It fails.
I do believe that in the end, truth and justice prevail, but civilizations and cultures can disintegrate and be defeated before that happy event happens. In other words, we can all go through a tremendous amount of pain, of war, of tyranny before that happens. So I don't think it's a question one can answer. Democracy is not a universal panacea because it can't be imposed. People have got to come to it themselves. And who knows? I don't know whether societies that are currently enslaved will find their way to freedom. None of us can know that. All we can do is encourage them to do so. But what we must do, above all else, is to defend our own societies and to make quite sure that those who wish to destroy them understand we are defending them.